Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for choosing me. So today we will talk about how to emotionally detach, get focused and level up your life. The mindset that changes everything. So what if I told you that the biggest thing holding you back isn't your lack of money? It's not your lack of talent. It's not your lack of opportunities. It's your inability to let go. Think about it. How much energy have you wasted replaying conversations that ended days ago? How many nights have you stayed awake thinking about someone who barely thinks about you? How many dreams have you delayed because you were waiting for the perfect time? The right people, or approval from someone who isn't even living your life. Here's the truth: most people never realize your future isn't being stolen by your circumstances, it's been stolen by your attachments. And today, we're going to break those chains. By the end of this episode, you will understand how to emotionally detach without becoming cold, how to develop laser sharp focus, and how to build a life so fulfilling that distractions naturally lose their power. If that sounds like the version of yourself you've been searching for, hit that subscribe button because this channel is all about becoming the strongest version of yourself. Now, let's begin. The invisible prison. Let's talk about that. Most people think emotional attachment is love. Sometimes it is, but more often, it's dependency disguised as love. There's a huge difference. Love says, I appreciate you. Attachment says, I need you to feel okay. Love allows people to leave. Attachments panic when they do. And that's why so many people spend years emotionally exhausted. Not because life is difficult, but because they're trying to control things they never had control over. Think about your own life. Maybe you're attached to a relationship that ended years ago. Maybe you're attached to an old version of yourself. Maybe you're attached to people's opinions, which is very dangerous. Or maybe you're attached to an outcome that isn't happening on your timeline. Every attachment creates fear, which is fear of losing, fear of failing, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. And fear is expensive, truly. It costs confidence, it costs peace, it costs focus. So hear me out. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack every single day. Inside are bricks. Each brick represents something you're holding on to. It can be an argument, a breakup, a regret, childhood pain, someone who betrayed you, dreams that didn't work out. At first, the weight doesn't seem that bad. But year after year, you get slower. You stop taking risks. You stop believing in yourself. Not because you're weak, but because you're carrying too much, which you have to let go. Now, imagine putting that backpack down. Nothing around you changes. The road stays the same. But suddenly, walking becomes easier. That's emotional detachment. Not changing the world, changing what you are willing to carry. Why brain loves emotional chaos? Here's something fascinating. Your brain doesn't actually like happiness, it likes familiarity. Even familiarity is painful. That's why people return to toxic relationships, why they repeatedly check people's social media, why they replay old conversations hundreds of times, why they stay stuck in jobs they hate, because uncertainty feels scarier than suffering. Your brain says, I know this pain, so let's keep it. Growth, however, requires uncertainty. Every successful entrepreneur, every athlete, every artist, every millionaire had to become comfortable feeling uncomfortable. And that's where most people quit, not because they can't succeed, because discomfort convinces them they are doing something wrong. But then in reality, discomfort often means you're finally growing, which is a beautiful thing. So stop giving people remote control over your happiness. Imagine giving someone a remote control. Every button controls your emotions. One button makes you happy, another makes you anxious, another ruins your entire day. Now ask yourself, how many people currently have that remote? One text message changes your mood. One comment ruins your confidence. One rejection makes you question your value. One ignored message makes you overthink for hours and hours. You're handing out emotional remotes like free gifts. It's time to take them back, because emotionally powerful people don't depend on external validation. They create internal stability. That's what confidence actually is. Not believing everyone likes you, but believing you'll be okay even if they don't. The high price of distraction. Every day your attention is being sold. Social media, news, notifications, drama, arguments, comparison, endless scrolling. Companies spend billions of dollars learning how to steal your focus, because attention is currency. If someone controls your attention, they eventually influence your decision, and your decisions becomes your future. That's why emotionally detached people seem calmer. They're protecting their attention, they're protecting their future, while everyone else is reacting. They are building. Then ask yourself, when was the last time you spent an entire day without checking your phone every 5 minutes? When was the last time you sat alone with your thoughts? When was the last time you worked on your dreams without needing anyone else's approval? If those questions make you uncomfortable, that's okay. Awareness is where change begins. The identity shift. Here's one sentence that can transform your life. Stop asking, how do I feel today? Start asking, who am I becoming? Because feelings change every hour. Identity lasts. If your identity is, I'm someone who keeps promises to myself, then you work even when motivation disappears. If your identity is, I'm someone who protects my peace, then you stop entertaining unnecessary drama. If your identity is, I'm someone who grows every day, failure becomes feedback, not proof that you're incapable. Successful people don't have stronger emotions than everyone else. They simply refuse to let emotions make their decisions. The power of solitude. Most people are terrified of being alone, but solitude isn't loneliness, it's training. Every successful person spends time alone, reading, thinking, planning, creating, because clarity rarely appears in noise, it appears in silence. The next time you're alone, don't reach for your phone immediately. Sit with yourself. Ask difficult questions. What kind of person am I becoming? What's draining my energy? What's one habit that keeps me average? Growth begins when honesty replaces excuses. Your future self is watching. Imagine meeting yourself 10 years from today. They walk into the room healthier, wealthier, calmer, more confident. Would they thank you or ask why you kept delaying your potential? Every day you postpone discipline, you're borrowing time from the person you're capable of becoming. The future isn't built tomorrow, it's built today with small choices, small habits, small moments of courage. If you made it this far, congratulations. You're already doing something that most people don't. You investing in your mind. You see, the average person spends hours every day consuming entertainment that disappears from their memory by tomorrow. But you are here because a part of you believes you were meant for more. And I believe that too. In part 1, we talked about emotional attachment, how it quietly steals your peace, your focus, and your potential. But here's something even more important. Knowing what to do doesn't change your life. Doing it consistently does. And that's where discipline comes in. Discipline is the highest form of self-love. Let me ask you something. Have you ever made a promise to yourself? Maybe it was, I'm going to wake up early tomorrow. I'm finally going to start going to the gym. I'm done wasting money. I'm going to stop texting that person. I'm going to start my business this year. Now be honest. How many of those promises did you actually keep? Most people think breaking promises to themselves isn't a big deal, but every broken promise quietly chips away that something incredible, valuable, your self-trust. Imagine having a friend who constantly tells you they'll be there at 2 p.m., but every single time they show up at 4 or they don't show up at all. Eventually, you stop believing them. Now, here's the uncomfortable truth. Many people have become that unreliable friend to themselves. Every time you say, I'll start Monday, just one more episode, I'll do it tomorrow, your subconscious is paying attention. It begins to believe that your words don't mean much. And once you stop trusting yourself, confidence disappears. Because confidence isn't built by positive thinking, it's built by keeping promises. Think about that for a moment. The strongest people aren't necessarily the smartest. They simply become someone who does what they say they're going to do, even when nobody's watching. That is discipline. And discipline isn't punishment. It's one of the deepest forms of self-respect. When you choose discipline, you're telling yourself, my future matters more than my current comfort. Motivation is a visitor. Discipline is a resident. One of the biggest lies the internet tells us is, wait until you feel motivated. Here's the problem. Motivation is emotional, and emotions change constantly. Some mornings you'll wake up excited, other mornings you'll feel tired. Some days you'll feel inspired after watching a podcast like this. Other days you'll question everything. If your actions depend on your emotion, your progress will always be inconsistent. Imagine a pilot flying an airplane. Halfway through the flight, imagine the pilot announcing, ladies and gentlemen, I don't really feel like flying anymore today. Ridiculous, right? The plane doesn't stay in the air because the pilot feels motivated. It stays in the air because they understand the responsibility. Your goals deserves the same commitment. Don't ask yourself, do I feel like working today? Ask, who do I want to become? Because the future version of you isn't created by your best days. They're created by the days you wanted to quit but kept going. Your comfort zone is costing you more than you think. Let's imagine two people. The first person wakes up, hits snooze 3 times, scroll through social media, complains about life, waits until they get ready. Months go by, nothing changes. Now picture another person. They wake up before their alarm, not because they enjoy it, but because they understand something powerful. Temporary discomfort creates permanent growth. Every morning they choose discipline over comfort. One workout, one page read, one healthy meal, one difficult conversation, one business idea worked on. None of those actions seem extraordinary, but over time, those tiny actions completely transform who they become. Success rarely arrives in dramatic moments. It arrives through ordinary habits repeated consistently. Note that. People admire their results, but they rarely appreciate the routines that created them. Stop waiting for confidence. Here's something most successful people won't tell you. Confidence usually comes after action, not before it. Think about learning to drive. Were you confident on your first lesson? Probably not. Your hands were tense, you were overthinking every mirror, every turn, every stop. But after enough practice, driving became second nature. Life works exactly the same. You don't become confident because before starting, you become confident because you started. The entrepreneur doesn't feel ready, the public speaker doesn't feel ready, the athlete doesn't always feel ready. They act anyway. Action teaches the brain something powerful. I survived. And every time you survive something difficult, your confidence grows. Waiting for confidence is like waiting to become fit before going to the gym. It simply doesn't work that way. The power of protecting your energy. Have you ever noticed how some people leave you feeling inspired while others leave you emotionally drained? Energy is contagious. Negativity is contagious. Ambition is contagious. Peace is contagious. Take a moment to think about the 5 people you spend the most time with. Are they encouraging your growth, or are they comfortable with you staying exactly where you are? Sometimes leveling up requires difficult decisions, not because you dislike people, but because your environment shapes your future. A seed planted in poor soil struggles to grow. The same seed planted in healthy soil can become a mighty tree. You're not different. Protect your peace, protect your time, protect your dreams. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. The mirror exercise. If you want to try something tomorrow morning, stand in front of a mirror, look at yourself directly in the eyes, no phone, no distractions, just you. Then ask yourself 3 questions. Who am I becoming? Am I proud of the choices I make every day? If I continue living exactly like this for the next 5 years, where will I end up? Those questions might feel uncomfortable. Good. Growth begins where comfort ends. Don't lie to yourself, because the person in that mirror already knows the truth. Your life changes the moment you decide. People often believe success happens gradually. Sometimes it does, but transformation usually begins with one decision: the decision to stop making excuses, the decision to stop blaming your past, the decision to stop waiting for permission, the decision to stop negotiating with laziness. Your circumstances may not change overnight, but your direction can, and direction determines destiny. Imagine boarding a plane. Changing its course by just 2 degrees seems insignificant, but after several hours, it lands in an entirely different country. Small decisions create massive outcomes. That's why today's choices matter so much. The greatness investment you'll ever make. The very greatest investment you'll ever make. People invest in stocks, real estate, businesses, crypto, cars, but very few invest in the one asset that determines every other outcome: themselves. Books, skills, health, communication, discipline, emotional intelligence. No one can take those away from you. Your income can disappear, your possessions can disappear, but the person you've become travels with you everywhere, becomes so valuable that opportunities begin looking for you. Final story. Imagine you are climbing a mountain. Halfway up, you look down, you see how far you've come, then look up. The summit still seems impossibly far away. Many people quit right there, not because they can't reach the top, because they become discouraged by how much climbing remains. But successful people think differently. Instead of focusing on the entire mountain, they focus on the steps, one more step, then another, then another. Eventually, without even realizing it, they're standing at the top. Life is exactly the same. Don't focus on becoming successful overnight. Focus on winning today. Read one chapter, exercise for 30 minutes, save a little money, call your parents, pray, meditate, work on your dream, be kind, repeat tomorrow. Great lives aren't built in giant leaps, they are built in small victories that nobody applauds. Powerful closing. 1 year from now, there are two versions of you waiting. One version continued making excuses, stayed emotionally attached, keep procrastinating, allowed fear to make every decision. That version is still wishing, still waiting, still wondering. But there's another version, a version that chose discipline over comfort, growth over excuses, peace over drama, focus over distraction. That version wakes up with confidence, not because life became easier, but because they became stronger. The question isn't whether that person exists. The question is, which version will you become? Because every decision you make after watching this video is writing that story. So when this episode ends, don't just feel inspired. Take action. Send the mail. Apply for the job. Start the workout. Read the book. Forgive yourself. Delete the distraction. Take the first step. Because the life you've dreamed about isn't waiting for a perfect version of you. It's waiting for a committed one. So your call to action is this. If this video gave you a new perspective, don't let the conversation end here. In the comments, answer this question. What's one habit you're committing to for the next 30 days? Write it down. Making a public commitment can help turn an intention into action, and you might inspire someone else who's reading the comments. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe and turn on notifications. This channel is for people who want to build discipline, strengthen their mindset, and create a life they're proud of, one intentional step at a time. Always remember that. So your past is a chapter. It doesn't have to be the whole story. Until next time, protect your peace, guard your focus, keep becoming the person your future self will thank you for. Bye. Love you.